They tell me, like, Miss Darby, you're like the best teacher we ever had. And I always flip it on them and say, no, you all are the best teacher that I ever had. My name is Dr. Sirrita Darby, she, her pronouns, and I'm an executive director for Detroit Hills, Detroit, and today we are at the Healing Hub. The Healing Hub is a love note to our city from Detroit youth to Detroit youth. We've really built this space because we want to make sure we can foster youth, healing justice for all Detroit youth, and having a physical space that they can do that in daily. So that's why we're here at the Healing Hub, where healing is encouraged and healing is normalized for young people every day. So we have different services to make sure we're supporting our community, like free washer and dryer. We have free tutoring here. We have a free store that's open every day. So just those basic things that our community needs, and those things that's centered around healing to make sure our youth can heal. And so in turn, the community heals as well. I started teaching around 7 years ago, got into education after being in an educational policy class and realizing how really messed up our education system was, and really wanted to be something that was a solution to that. So I was like, I'm going to go into teaching first and work my way up to be that solution and make a systems level approach to that. I went back to the east side and taught in the same neighborhood in which I was familiar with, grew up in, lived in, so saw how trauma manifests in the classroom and the communities. And I think that's important because I think a lot of times some teachers go home to their suburban cul-de-sacs and don't see how trauma manifests in communities as well. So I think I saw it through a different lens, as some of my students were my neighbors, right? So I saw them when I went home and when I was at school. So that gave me the charge to kind of circumvent that required curriculum that unfortunately didn't affirm their identities or shared experiences. And so we did healing circles every Friday. Those healing circles led to a whole publication known as Forbidden Tears. We were able to push that book out to a lot of people, got invited to other Detroit schools to do that youth healing work that we were doing in our classroom. And our young people loved it. And they came back and was like, Ms. Darby, we want to create an after school program out of this to go and lay with this book. And I was like, why not take it a step further and create a whole nonprofit, because this work has to exist in schools and in communities as well. And I told them if they were serious to really write a business plan for me. And that was Monday. That business plan was in my hand on Friday. So since then, we've been able to create Detroit Hills, Detroit, where our mission is to foster healing justice for the Detroit youth, in which they're able to transform their pain into power while simultaneously combating the systems that creates that trauma in the first place. I think COVID kind of amplified some of the trauma that our young people are experiencing anyway. So that kind of just gave us more of a charge. And since then, we've been doing great stuff. Really, they are the souls of this operation. Now we have a whole healing justice curriculum that we're pushing out to other schools and other communities. And it's not a linear curriculum, because healing for students in certain communities looks different from for healing for students in other communities. So it's not a linear curriculum, because healing isn't linear. We do have a trainer-trainer model where we train other youth to be the healing experts in their classroom, and they bring that healing work back to their advisories, our classrooms, and making sure that that collective healing takes place in their school communities as well. So education system should look like us really fostering and making sure our classrooms are spiritually safe. Can our students show up in your classroom, be fully alive, and exist in your classroom without being policed? So when I think of an education system, I envision that students being able to show up as their authentic selves without being oppressed or policed in a space that's supposed to be liberatory, right? Classrooms are the most democratic institutions in the world. So why can students really show up and be themselves in classrooms? So I envision a curriculum that affirms their identities. The people who are in the classrooms, it affirms who they are and their shared identities and experiences. And it's a curriculum that they help design. It's co-led and co-designed by young people, not a curriculum that adults design for them. So they're more engaged. So when we go into classrooms that's more equitable, and I envision students are engaged because this is a curriculum that affirms them and who they are and that they help create. When we lift up that youth are the experts in their own healing, we actually give them the power, not just the voice, but the power as well to actually activate that healing in their community. This is what becomes possible. This is what gives us Detroit Hills, Detroit. So yeah, forever grateful for them, their tenacity and their vision.